Opening up the pool after a long winter can be a do-it-yourself project for sure. You do not have to hire professionals. Your pool has sat for a long time over the winter. The cover may have stretched or sagged. I always inspect it for damage. Also, the debris on top, you do not want to dump that into your pool as you're uncovering it. I like to inspect the straps. Sometimes I have seen straps be snapped and damaged over the long winter. Be prepared to occasionally replace or repair straps and components. Pull back the pool cover, being careful not to dump the dirty contents on top into your pool. After all, you're trying to clean the water in the pool. The water normally will be dirty, green, algae filled. That is very normal. It does not mean you did a terrible job winterizing last fall. That is common. Expect the water to look bad. Don't forget to screw back down your safety cover grommets so they're not sticking up and becoming a toe stubber. You want to screw them right back down. Basically, you're reversing everything in the order that the pool was winterized. You're reconnecting things in reverse order. You're reconnecting the plumbing and the electric to make sure it will function for the swim season. The chlorinator, you may or may not have a chlorinator. This is a nice device to give a constant stream of chlorine to your water. Also, it has a check valve to prevent backup from the returning water to so it never reaches the heater and does damage. You want to reconnect threads. Sometimes I have seen sun damage on threads, or be careful not to cross thread when you're putting them on by hand. Just do hand tight. If you feel resistance excessively, stop and back it off and try to reposition it. Most of these connections are just hand tight. Occasionally I'll use a pipe wrench just for a little bit of help, but mostly they can be done hand tight. Pumps and plugs. You're starting to put all the plugs back in. All the plugs were removed from the pump and the filter and the heater if you have it. That's so they can drain down and not have frost damage in the winter. So replace all the plugs that were removed for the winterization, such as the pump, the heater, and the filter. I like to start to reconnect everything in the order that the water will be returning. So it's the pump, the filter, and then the heater. This is a PSI gauge for the sand filter. You may or may not have a PSI gauge. It is a nice device so you know how dirty or how much pressure is in the filter head when it's building up excessive pressure. Here you can set your filter to waste. If you set it to filter immediately and you start running water through it, your filter may clog very, very quickly, and then you're backwashing it excessively. So at the very beginning, you may want to set it to waste only, so it's actually going to discharge the dirty water right to the waste, right to your yard, and then you can start filtering after that, after you get, the dead leaves and debris and twigs and all that out of the system. Here we are removing caps under the water line. There were plugs or caps put on these returns into the pool so the frigid water does not go into the lines and do damage. So we do have to remove those caps. Remove the skimmer plug. Water levels. Your water may be too high and you have to pump some out. That is common. I've had it right to the brim and it's flooding situation and I had to pump some down. Or your water level may be incredibly low. It just depends how much water was removed during the winterization and of course how wet the winter season was. This water is a little bit low, so we will have to raise it. You want it right in the middle of the skimmer. At this time, I like to turn the power back on, the circuit breakers, and then the outdoor breakers to our pool. Algae, I like a good algae chemical that will help remove the green. There are so many good options out there. Of course, your pool company, pool store representative can help you pick. You can test the water, or you can bring a water sample to your pool store and they can test it for you. Here we are adding chlorine. You want to test at some point after adding chlorine. Likely your water is completely depleted of chlorine or salt if you have a saltwater pool. Prime the pump. This type of pump and most pool pumps that I'm familiar with do require water to be in them before they will start up and start moving. So you do have to prime the pump. If you hear somebody say prime the pump, that's simply just adding water to the pump system before you turn on the electric and get the pump moving. Here we are observing water moving through the system, so we know it's now flowing through the pump, then through the filter, through the heater, which is still off at this point, and then back to the pool. Installing our diving board. I like to take off everything during the winterization, so we had diving boards removed and stored in the garage, which keeps it in better shape. We removed the ladders and the handrails because that enables us to get the safety cover in place. So properly installing the diving board with the washer, the locking nut, and the final nut. And I do put all these nuts on very, very tight as I figure a diving board is like a safety device. We want everything really tight. Deep side ladder, time to install the deep side ladder. Remember that the rubber plugs at the bottom have to be in place so it doesn't damage your liner, especially if you have a vinyl liner like I do. Handrail on the shallow end. Don't forget the handrail on the shallow end if you have one. These handrail and deep side ladder do have metal connectors in the bottom of the receivers, which is neat because it keeps all the grounding of the metal, the grounding and bonding of the metal parts all connected. So everything that's metal on or near this pool, including the concrete rebar, the handrails, the filter, the heater, anything that's metal, even the fence was bonded. Everything that is metal anywhere near the pool is bonded for safety and grounded for safety. And now you're ready to continue to filter the water, get the water level back up to where it should be or drain back down to where it should be depending on your case. You want the water level right in the middle of the skimmer height, right in the middle. We'll show you what the water looks like in a couple of days of filtration, that it will clear right up. I bet you can do it yourself.